Hey, Buffalo, you up? I'm Ari Nicole, and you are listening to the Buffalo You Up podcast.
Well, I'm up, but I'm not Buffalo. I'm a dude, man.
I also am a part of Buffalo, but I am not Buffalo. I'm Kyle S.
This is one of our most exciting episodes of the season because here with us today is none other than Mr. Gregory Lamberson. For the sake of this podcast, do you prefer being called Greg or Gregory?
Greg, please. Ari.
So, Greg, you wear multiple hats when it comes to working in the film industry. Can you list your hats for us?
My main hat is that I'm a writer-director of feature films, but I've also co-produced my films, and I have produced films for other people like Debbie Rochon and Sam Qualiano, who's out in Lockport. I write, I direct, I produce. When I work for other people as a freelancer, I can be a first assistant director. I can be a production manager. I've been a PA. I've done very simple script supervision. I'm not a technical person. I don't work with cameras or microphones. What is this in front of me?
Those are definitely a lot of hats, more than I would ever think could fit on my head. But thank you again for being here with us and sharing your hats with us.
I want to be Buffalo upped. I'm also an author. I've written 14 books, and I run the Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival,
Which we're going to talk about more later as the show goes on. But right now, what I like to do... So, Ari, would you like to do the honors of introducing the first segment for us?
So we like to start off our show by answering some fan mail. We call out to our listeners out there to write us via Facebook at the Buffalo You Up podcast or via Instagram at Buffalo You Up. Send us in some questions to ask our guests, and we will read them here on the air. So who's got the first question?
I believe you do.
Why do I have the first question? You
how
usually
dice
have
are
the first
rolled.
question.
Oh, boy.
I guess I have the first question. Okay, so let me see what I have here. Okay. Grandma Nancy from North Tonawanda writes, last year, I remember attending the Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival in October, but this year I read that it's in August. I'm just curious as to what prompted this change. I personally am thrilled it's now a summer festival because I don't like going out when it's cold, and it's almost always cold in Buffalo.
I would never presume to call Nancy Grandma. But Nancy, you must have a long memory, because when we started out as Buffalo Screams Horror Film Festival 10 years ago, we were in October. But ever since we rebranded as Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival, which means we show many genres, not just horror, we've been in November, when it's even colder than it is in October. This year we are running in summer, and the reason is, when we started, we never would have dreamed that as many filmmakers would come to Buffalo to show their work as happens at this festival. This year, at least 20 people are coming in from out of town to screen their works. And every year, they all make a point of going to this body of water we have called Niagara Falls. And they go out there and the ice particles strike their faces. So since we have inadvertently become a destination spot for filmmakers from around the world, we thought it made sense to hold the festival in the summer when they could wear cargo shorts like we do and go to the falls and go to Canal Side and enjoy Buffalo when it's not bitter cold.
Billy J. just turned 18 years old, and he wants to go to the Buffalo Dreams Film Festival. However, he doesn't have a bank account or a credit card, and he wants to know if he pays cash at the counter, will he still be able to get in and attend?
Well, we prefer he pay cash at the counter.
Perfect.
If you buy advance tickets online at dipsandtheaters.com, you must use a credit card. But if you come to the box office in person, you can buy an all-festival pass for $60, which entitles you to see all 101 films playing over 7 days, or a $20 day pass, which allows you to see all the movies playing on that given day. And we prefer that they pay cash because the theater is not set up to make the computations for these bizarre figures.
And they do sound like very good prices for an entire festival.
It works out to $1 a film. So, Billy, there you go.
Okay. So Greg, do you consider yourself a horror film fanatic?
Yes, I am a horror film fanatic. Have been all my life.
From one horror film fanatic to another, what was your favorite horror film growing up? And do you have a horror film that you feel like you must watch at least once every Halloween?
They could be the same film. The original TV movie of The Night Stalker with Darren McGavin aired for the first time when I was a kid, probably 8 years old. Scared the hell out of me, and I try to watch that every year.
That's going to have to go on your must-watch list.
Yeah.
Right?
I just want to say, what the F? You've never seen The Night Stalker?
No, I don't think I
It was the highest rated TV movie of 1972. They re-release it on DVD and Blu-ray every 3-4 years. It spawned a TV show, which is a cult camp classic that inspired the X-Files. They ripped it off of the X-Files. But the first TV movie has a very cinema verite quality. It's scary as hell. It doesn't have any of the humor that people remember from the TV show.
As far as my personal horror Halloween film would be American Werewolf in London would be mine, just because I'm a huge John Landis fan. I love his comedy in that, and I think that horror comedy is one of the best genres. Like Shaun of the Dead, and like Hot Fuzz kind of has horror in it. World's End kind of also has horror in it. So those films.
And 666 p.m.
And also Evil Dead as well, the Evil Dead series.
I watch either The Howling or An American Werewolf, one or the other, every Halloween. And I did just attend the Thursday Terrors screening of An American Werewolf that David Naughton attended, which was a lot of fun.
Since you asked your own question, I have a question that I've been meaning to ask Greg for years now. Okay, so over the years of you running this festival, you have had thousands of films of all kinds sent to you from all over the world. So tell us about some of your personal favorites, whether they were the best movies that have been sent in or some of the worst ones that you've seen.
The best two movies that we have shown are both Mexican films, El Incidente and The Similars. Both were directed by Isaac Esban. They're masterpieces. I like to think of Isaac as the most talented filmmaker alive who isn't named Martin Scorsese. He's brilliant, and he is coming back to the festival this year with his first English-language film, which is called Parallel. Most of the ones that would fall under the worst that we've ever gotten, I really don't remember. I mean, it's traumatic to watch some of these. We watched them beginning to end. And I've seen some that were camcorder quality that were just like people exercising their ids. And I've seen all sorts, and I really don't remember them too well. Well, you're right. We show 100 films every year, and usually we get 300 or 400 submissions. So I've seen a lot.
And you do, even though you already can tell in the beginning that it's not going to make it into the festival, you still watch it to the end?
If it's really terrible, what I do is I have one laptop going while the movie plays, and I have another laptop going while I look at Facebook or do email or whatever. I have to multitask.
I'm a master multitasker.
A film does not get my undivided attention if it's really, 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 really bad. We do owe it to the filmmakers to watch the film in its entirety. You hope that maybe it'll get better. But if after an hour you want to claw your eyes out or stuff your ears with cotton because the sound quality is so bad, you're sort of on a fool's mission, riding it out to the end and hoping it'll suddenly get better.
The next thing that we usually do after we ask our fan letter questions is we actually turn the script and we say, as a guest, do you have any question for either one of us, for Ari, Kyle, or myself?
I have a question for myself.
Okay.
I sampled the shows, not on Spotify, which drives me crazy, but on your website. And I noticed the volume was very low on all of them. I would crank my volume all the way up, and I could hardly hear it. The only way I could really hear it is if I plugged in external speakers, which I normally don't use. Okay. Is that something you're working on for the future?
That is something I'm working on for the future, yes. I got new mics.
I did notice the equipment when I sat down. It's a very slick-looking setup here.
Thank you. I'm still working on it. It's still season 1, so I do appreciate that, even though we are pretty rough, that you did take the time out of your busy schedule to listen to us. So thank you. I appreciate that, man.
I had to hear Alex's voice. I had to hear Ty.
All right, so we have to take over from our sponsor, but we'll be right back.
And we are back. Buffalo, you up? We are hanging out with the one and only Greg Lamberson. Thanks again for coming on our podcast.
Thank you for inviting me here to eat some of Marjorie's delicious cookies.
So our next segment, I like to call Where in the World is Greg Lamberson? And this is our segment where
Other people play this game?
I just changed the name of it now.
Matt Lauer.
And nobody knew I was going to change the name of it. But everybody
I knew
likes
she
it.
was going to do this. Erin and I get along because we're both psychic, and I knew she was going to do that today when I woke up.
Isn't it?
I got up this morning and I heard it in my head,
It's contagious.
and now here it is.
But we are more interested on where we can find you elsewhere, on what movies you may have already out, on things that you might have coming up that we can see live. Where can we find you?
I see. Well, Widow's Point, my new movie starring Craig Sheffer, will have its world premiere at Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival August 24th, and then it will have a special benefit screening in Fredonia at the Fredonia Opera House Friday the 13th of September. And I'll be taking that on the film festival circuit probably every weekend in September and October. I will be in a different part of the United States showing this film. My previous film, Johnny Gruesome, is available for free on Amazon Prime. Have a little harder time finding Killer Rack because they seem to think it's a much more salacious film than it is. So that's only available on DVD. Most of my other films, Slime City Massacre, and others, they're either on Prime or on Shudder, or they're out there in physical media and on streaming. I'm not that hard to find, actually, in that respect.
Where can we find these multiple books that you have published?
Well, my publisher went out of business a year ago, and I just bought my inventory. Well, I didn't have to buy. I got it for free, but I had to pay to have it trucked from another state. So I have 2,000 copies of my books. I have some at Off the Beaten Path in Jamestown. I have some at the Book Corner in Niagara Falls. Quite likely I will have them for sale at the film festival. So my car is a moving bookstore. I have copies of all 14 books in my car. They're always available.
Well, that's wise. I mean, books don't melt in your car like a DVD might.
Or like a gelatin hand that John Reno left on the seat of a car during Johnny Gruesome that did melt.
He left it on a seat without any plastic underneath it?
Yeah, it was summer, it was hot.
He should have known better than that.
The hand oozed and melted.
That's a funny story.
They usually are if they involve John. I can't wait till John Reno is on Buffalo You Up, sitting in this very seat.
There you go.
Season 2?
Season 2.
So we got I would say 5 minutes left on these. So do you have any other plugs you got, anywhere people can find you? You want to talk about again the Buffalo
Dreams Fantastic Film Festival, August 23rd to 29th. That's 7 full days of programming, 101 movies. It's 24 features and 77 shorts. Lots of filmmakers coming from other states, from other countries to show their works and do Q&As. It's at the Dipson Theater's Eastern Hills Cinema, located in the back of that crazy Eastern Hills Mall. And because there's no food court in that mall anymore, we have Matt Walter, another local artist, will be setting up Western New York food carts outside the mall for opening weekends so people can still grab food, besides what's available at the concession stand.
And so links for that, for people can know the information, be on Facebook, right? That's one of them, right?
Well, the website would be most helpful. It's the full name of the festival, Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival.com. That has all the movies. It has the trailers, the posters. There is a Buffalo Dreams Facebook page where we post a lot of updates. That will be helpful.
Thank you. And then do you know which times they start at, when they start to finish?
Well, we start between 12 noon and 1 p.m. every day and run to 11 to midnight. It's close to 12 hours of programming.
An all-day festival of just films. What more do you need? 60, right?
$60 for the whole week, 7 days. Yeah.
Right. So that's a steal. That's literally a huge that. Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Even a $20 day pass is a great deal, but if you multiply 20 times 7, that's $140. So even the bargain is a bargain.
So if you guys are smart and you want to like use your money wisely, I would suggest getting the 60 and going all week. I know we're going all week, right, guys?
I think some people get intimidated when they hear how many films there are. Just because you buy a pass doesn't mean you're strapped to a chair. You can go out and eat dinner. You can take a day off. I mean, you can still get your money's worth very easily without being a prisoner of the theater.
Have the opportunity to pick and choose which ones you want to see and be able to see them all.
Opportunity is the key word. We want to make films available all day long so that if someone's free in the afternoon, stop by the theater, get some air conditioning, see a nice foreign film on a weekday afternoon.
Is it okay? Because this is my plan. I was just going to introduce myself to the people that are there too. So it's a great way to network as well. Wouldn't you agree?
It absolutely is. You watch the movie, you see the Q&A, and then everyone hangs out in the lobby afterwards. And that's why they're here. They want to meet people and hear what they think about their movies. It's not an imposition. It's why they come.
It's a great way because we're the Buffalo podcast. So we believe in networking. We believe in connecting. We believe in having everyone together. And I think that's a great way to also go is if you go to the Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival, what will happen is you'll go there, you'll meet all these, they have over 100 different films, and you'll meet all these people who make them. Super nice. I know that some of my friends are going to be there, like Ty's going to be there, Rick Massey's going to be there, countless others. So it's a great way to, connect, network. It's a great way to meet people. So just as someone who's never been there this year, I'm looking forward to being this first time going. So it's going to be a great time. So thank you so much for talking about it. I mean, we'll talk more definitely when we come back after these word from our sponsors, but we got to take a word from our sponsor and we'll be right back. Thank you so much for... We're just about that end of the show where we have to wrap up the show. We would like to get your final thoughts. We would love to hear what you thought about being a guest on our show and what you would say to future guests and any final thoughts that you have as well.
Well, I hope that John Wren is a future guest.
Well, it'll have to be now.
And I've made my pitch for him, and I recommend that he not eat before he comes, because I'm looking at a plate full of cookies, and I hear there's pizza on the way, and I think it's going to have to be an either-or scenario for me. And if John comes, I don't want him to have to make Sophie's choice like that. I want him to be able to enjoy everything that is offered. I had a lovely time. The table's nice. The wallpaper's nice. I like the soundproof ceiling.
My mom worked really, really hard on that. So shout out to Dude Mom. We love you. We hear it. Yeah.
And to Adam Block for the suggestion.
Yeah, and Adam for suggesting it to my mom. So thank you guys. Sorry to interrupt. Continue, man.
I have props in front of me, and this cleaver was the meat cleaver used in my first film, Slime City. So it was filed down so that it couldn't cut anybody back in 1986. And when I made that in New York City, when I made the sequel, Slime City Massacre, in Buffalo 10 years ago, I contacted the special effects artist. I said, by any chance, have you held on to that meat cleaver for 20 plus years? And he said, yes, I did. He had it in storage, so I got it back. And this is a tentacle. It's a boob tentacle from Killer Rack, which is a comedy. And that's part of a stop motion animation puppet. And the Johnny Gruesome head here was the sculpture that they made a mold from, and then from the mold they produced a wax version that had a skull inside, and they turned a heat gun on it and melted it, shot it in fast motion, so basically the face melted, which is how they did the same effect in Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the Nazis' eyes pop and blood runs out of his face. So Ari suggested I bring in maybe some DVDs or something as props, and I figured let me bring in actual props.
I said you could bring whatever you wanted.
You did. You left it up to me.
I figured you had plenty of options.
I didn't have to look far to pull these out, trust me.
So we're about love, and so one thing that we do on the show is this is the unofficial segment. Like this is it's unofficial because it's not really I literally started doing this a couple of weeks ago, and ever since I getting people's thoughts on this. We have this thing called the Wall of Fame. So if you look right behind you, the Wall of Fame is where we ask each one of our guests if they'll sign their name and leave an indent, an impression on our show. So if you look on that wall, you'll see some familiar faces. You'll see Justin A. Shorty. You'll see Ty Chaman.
Rick Macy!
You'll see Rick. So this is the final send-off.
That's about it for our show. So until next time, Buffalo, I'm Mary Nicole.
And I'm Kyle. I'm gonna squeeze in here just because they're not gonna give me the time to do it. If you want me to drive you around to these film festivals to distribute the film, I will personally drive you. No cost to you. I'll even use my gas, my mileage. We can just hang out and talk movies on the road.
That's nice. My daughter might interfere, but
All right. Well,
we'll see.
We can work this out off air here.
Sounds like Kyle needs a friend. But anyway, we just have one more question for you.
Buffalo.
You up?
Nice.